Shvetashvatara Upanishad. This is on page 70 of this book, The Universal Prayers. And the English translation is on page 71. This is the first one on page 70, top. There are 4 shlokas on page 70, the first one on the top. So let us chant the Shanti mantra. Om Tam Stri Tam Pumanasi Tam Kumara Utava Kumari Tvam Jirno Dandena Vanchasi Tvam Jato Bhavasi Vishwato Mukha Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. O Divine Lord, you appear in the form of all women, you appear in the form of all men. You also appear in the form of the boy and the girl. And you're also the old person tottering along somehow with difficulty, holding on to a staff for support. You alone appear in the form of all the beings in this creation. Om peace, may there be peace and joy in our hearts. Adhyatmika Shanti, may there be peace and harmony amongst all beings. Adi Bhautika Shanti, may there be peace everywhere in nature. Adi Deyika Shanti. Now let us continue from where we left last time. We have to do sloka number 9 in chapter 3. Sloka number 9 is a very important verse. Here Bhagavan Sri Krishna says that any action done by us other than as yajna, offering, selfish action, that kind of action is going to bind us. Bind us means limits us, and we have to continue the some cycle of samsara. Samsara means the cycle of birth and death. That is samsara. We are all in that cycle now. We are born. We were born many times before because we did karma, and then the fruit of karma done in the past is being experienced now. From the karma being experienced now. And if you do more karma now in a selfish way, that will bind us, and again we'll have to continue in this cycle to experience the fruit of our actions. So if you don't want to continue, if you want liberation, we should do all actions as offering, yajna. Then we will not be bound by the results. That is the solution. That is explained in verse number 9. So let me chant verse number 9 in chapter 3. Yajnarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangas samachara. Yajnarthat karmanah anyatra lokah ayam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. O Arjuna, this world is bound by work done other than as sacrifice. Therefore, free from attachment, do all your work as sacrifice. That is the translation. The explanation is quite simple. As I explained, mentioned earlier, any work that is done not as yajna, yajna arthat anyatra. other than as yajna. Any karma done in that way for a selfish reason, expecting fruit of action. I have done this work, I am the doer, and I want to benefit from this work. That attitude is a selfish attitude. I'm doing something for my benefit. As opposed to that, yajna attitude is I'm doing this work as an instrument in the hands of God, and by this work, I want everybody to be benefited, not just me. I'm doing this as an offering to God, offering to society, offering to all beings. Whatever work I'm doing, may this benefit everybody. If everybody is benefited, I will also be benefited because I'm included in everybody. I don't have to specifically say only for my benefit. Let me do this work as an offering to the highest cause, to God, to society, to people. May animals and plants and nature also benefit from my work. Keeping that large attitude in our mind, we have to perform all our work. Then what happens? What is the benefit of doing work in that way? The benefit is we will not be attached to the fruit of action. We will be free from the karma phala. If you are free from the fruit of action, then no new samskara will be added and no new karma will be done. We don't have to be born again to experience the fruit of our karma done in a selfish way. So the gist of this shloka is what Bhagavan is saying here is do all work as yajna. Whatever work we are doing, it may be what we call a secular activity, such as going to work in a workplace or daily routine activities like cooking, cleaning, taking care of family, other duties, or it may be spiritual activity like japa, meditation, study of scriptures, charity, whatever be the nature of activity, let us do it as an offering. That attitude of doing everything as offering is the key to liberation. In the second line of this shloka, number 9, Sri Krishna gives the instruction. The instruction is here, O Kaunteya, Mukta Sangaha Karma Samachara. Karma Samachara means perform your duties. How? Mukta Sangha, free from attachment. Attachment to karma, attachment to karma phala. Giving up attachment to karma is also can be done in different ways. We will study that in later chapters. How to give up attachment to karma? Let us understand that. Because Sri Krishna is telling us to give up attachment to karma when you do karma. Mukta Sangha. Mukta means freed, Sangha means attachment. Free from attachment, do the work, he says. So our question is how to give up attachment to work. There are several ways of doing this. There are easier ways and more difficult ways. Some of it will come in this chapter, some will come in later chapter. So this is like this. How to give up attachment to work. The worst attitude we can have is I am the doer. That will be explained in the 27th sloka in the same chapter. We are not come there yet. The worst way to do our karma is to say I am the doer. There in the sloka 27 of this same third chapter, Sri Krishna says, Ahankara vimudhatma karta ahamiti manyate. Aham karta, I am the doer. Iti manyate. Who thinks like that? Ahankara vimudhatma. A person who is egotistic. And vimudhatma means, in plain terms, foolish person. Vimuda. Not having knowledge. Such a person always says, I am the doer. Aham karta. You notice many people always taking credit for the work. I have done this one, I am the doer, I am the manager, I am doing all these things, I have done all these things, nobody has done as much as I have done. Like this, if somebody keeps on saying, such a person does not know the truth. Egotistic person. That is the worst way to think. What is the better way? The exact opposite of that. I am not the doer. That is very difficult. Jnanis will do that one. That comes in chapter 5. Jnani says, I am not the doer. Naiva kinchit karomi. I am not doing anything at all. Iti yukto manyeta tattvavid. There are two shlokas in chapter 5, 8 and 9. There the Jnani's attitude is explained. Jnani says, I am not the doer. But he is doing all action. Everybody does action. Jnani cannot remain without action. Jnani also does action. But at the same time, when he is performing all the actions, at the same time he says, I am not the doer. How is it possible? You are doing all the actions and you say you are not the doer. How will you explain that one? If you ask Jnani like that, Jnani will say, I am not the doer because I am the Atman. I am not the body and the mind. All actions are being done by the body and the mind and sense organs. None of those I am. I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the sense organs. I am the Atman. Atman has no, Atman is pure consciousness, no activity. Nishkriya. So Jnani says, I am the Atman. I am Brahmasmi. Then he says, I am not the doer. But action is happening at the body mind level. That is not easy for us. I cannot say right now I am the Atman. I am Brahman. Though that is the truth, absolute truth, that is true. But I don't have that consciousness. I'm only having body consciousness. So what is the way for us? There are 3 different things we can do, easier things we can do. One thing is, Sri Krishna is going to explain all these things in this next chapter. We can say I am the doer, but we can modify that by saying I'm doing it, I'm the doer, but I'm doing it as an offering to God. I'm doing this work, I'm the doer, but I'm doing only as an offering to God, not for my selfish benefit, but for larger benefit. So that way I is still there, but the attachment to work becomes a little bit less. I'm offering it for somebody. When I give something to somebody, my attachment to that object becomes less or will not be there. So I become free from attachment to karma by offering my karma to God. The simpler way that we can do. How to offer the work to God? Not in a physical sense. God also does not need our work. It is not to fulfill God's need that we have to offer work to Him. He does not need anything. He is the Lord of the universe. But I still have to offer because I want to offer it to Him to become free from attachment to karma. To become free from attachment, I am offering to God, highest authority. That way, my attachment to karma becomes less or will go away. Easy way, one way, offering everything to God. Some people say when they are doing something, Sri Krishna Arpanamastu, they will say, may this be offered to Sri Krishna. Arpana means offering to Sri Krishna. There's Krishna devotees say like that, mentally. So mentally only we have to offer our work to God. That is one way to become free from attachment to karma. Then we are free. Second way to become free from attachment to karma, not very different from this one, is to perform all work as puja, offering, as worship. Any work that we do should be done as if you are doing worship of God. This worship of God. When you feed your children, supposing you are the mother or a parent, you are cooking and feeding your children. Then that can be done as puja. Think of your children as Gopala, as God Himself in the form of child. You are feeding the Lord. Whom are you feeding? You are feeding God. Whoever eats the food you prepare, God eats the food. Because in everybody, it is God that is present, that partakes of the food. That is very clearly mentioned in the 15th chapter of the Gita. Chapter 15, shloka number 14, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, This is what he says. I am present in the bodies of all the beings, not only people, animals and plants. I am present as Vaishwanara, digesting the food. So whoever eats the food you prepare, God is eating the food. So you're actually feeding God when you feed somebody. Literally, this is true. It's in chapter 15, sloka 14, it is said like that. So if you think like that, you are serving God. That's the worship. Whenever you cook something, not only cooking, doing some service. You're doing, helping somebody doing their homework. You're helping a sick person to bring medicine from the pharmacy, or you're driving a sick person to the doctor's appointment. Something like that you do, that is all worship of God. God is present in all the beings receiving your service. If that attitude is cultivated, then all your work becomes puja, worship. You're always worshiping God because always you are doing something. That is the way to become free from attachment to karma. Easy way, just change the attitude. This is specifically mentioned in chapter 18, sloka number 46, where Sri Krishna says, perform all your actions as puja. There he says 1846, Swakarmana tamabhyarcha siddhim vindati manavaha. Swakarmana, by performing our own work, we don't have to change our work. Whatever work we are doing, same work we continue to do. Nothing changes. What changes? Our attitude changes. How to do our work? Swakarmana tam abhyarcha. Worshipping him. Tam means him. What he means the Lord. If we do all our work as worship, then what is the benefit? He says, Manavaha siddhim vindati. A man achieves perfection. You all achieve perfection. Perfection means gaining self-knowledge. Brahma Jnana will come. Pure devotion will come. By doing all actions as worship. That way, easy way to become attached, free from attachment to work. We are discussing how to give up attachment to work, karma and karma phala. By doing it as an offering, by doing every work as worship. There is a third way to become free from attachment to karma. Because in the second line of chapter 9, sloka 9, Sri Krishna says, free from attachment, do all work. Mukta Sangha Karma Samachara. Free from attachment to karma, do all the work. How to become free from attachment? That's what we are discussing. Another way to become free from attachment to karma is to think I'm only the instrument, God is the doer. God is the real doer. We think we are the doers. That is not the truth. He is the doer. But we have the feeling that I am the doer. That is not the right feeling. To give it up. How to give it up? Simply thinking I am only the instrument. He is the doer. Then what is my role? Only as an instrument. I'm like the pen and he is the author. If I don't do this work, if this pen does not work, what the writer will do? Throw it aside, you will get another pen which works. So if I don't do my work, his work will not stop. He is the doer. He will get his work done through many other better instruments. But he has chosen me to be the instrument to do this work. So I'm very fortunate. So when some work comes for us to be done, we should think God has given this gift. He has chosen us as the instrument, me as the instrument to do his work. So I shall be the best instrument I can be. So my role is reduced from doer to instrument. Instead of thinking I'm the doer, we should think I'm the instrument. He is the doer. That way my attachment to karma will not be there. He is the doer. I have no attachment. I'm only the instrument. I just do as it makes me do. There's a very nice Bengali song. You can see that in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna was very fond of this song. That Bengali song says, Sakali tomari icha moi tara tumi, tomar karma tumi koroma, loke bole kore ami. Sakali tomari icha. Oh, Divine Mother, everything happens by your will, according to your icha, your will. Tomar karma tumi korama. You are doing your work. Loke bole koryami. People think I am the doer because we don't know the truth. Actually, God is the doer. This comes in the Gita also. In the 11th chapter, Sri Krishna says to Arjuna very clearly, I am the doer, you are only an instrument. He says that one directly to Arjuna. You're only an instrument. Don't think that you are the doer. Arjuna's question was, how am I going to kill all these people? Bhishma, Drona, Arjuna, Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Duryodhana, all those people I have to kill. I don't want to kill. He thinks he is the doer. Sri Krishna says to Arjuna, Arjuna, you think you are going to kill all these people? Forget it. You are not the doer. I am the doer. I have killed them already. Sri Krishna says that in 11th chapter, Shloka 33. Directly he says, I have already killed all these people. In the 11th chapter, Shloka 33, Sri Krishna clearly says to Arjuna, you are not the doer, only an instrument in my hands. I am the doer. I am the one who is going to take care of them. You think you are the doer? Forget it. So we have to think like that. Be the doer, I am the instrument. Let me be the best instrument. So he has chosen me as the instrument. That itself is a great gift. He could have chosen some other instrument. So many thousands of better instruments are available for him to choose. But he has chosen me to do this work. Therefore, with great love and gratitude, let us do our best we can as the instrument. So, Shloka number 33 in chapter 11, Sri Krishna says very clearly, directly to Arjuna, you are not the doer, I am the doer. You are only the instrument in my hands. So he says, Tasmat Muttishta Yasho Labasva Shatrun Bhangswa Jitva Bhangswarajyam Samriddham Mayayvete Nihataha Purvameva Nimitta Matram Bhavasavya Maya Eva, by me alone. Purvameva, already. Etaswai Nihataha, all these people that you are going to kill, Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Duryodhana, all the Kaurava armies, you think you are going to kill. I already killed them. Maya, Purvameva Nihataha, done. It's a done deal. Then what is your role? Nimitta matram bhava. Just be the instrument, go through the motions. You're not the doer. So if they cultivate that attitude, that I am only an instrument in his hands, he is the doer. He does what he likes to do. Everything he does according to his will. My role is to play as the instrument. He makes me do this, I do this one. That's a lofty attitude, difficult somewhat, because we have already a strong notion that I am the doer. But that is another way to give up attachment to karma. He is the doer. I'm only going through the motions. He makes me do what he wants me to do. That's the bhakta's attitude. So in these different ways, doing it as an offering, doing it as a puja, thinking I'm the instrument, thinking I'm not the doer, I'm the Atman, embodiment of the doer. In any of these ways which is convenient to us, we have to give up attachment to karma and karma phala. That is what he is asking us to do. It's Shloka number 9, second line. There he says, Tatartham karma kaunteya mukta sangas samachara. Karma samachara, perform all your duties. Mukta sangha, free from attachment. How to become free from attachment? We have seen several ways. This will come again and again. The method of giving up attachment to karma will come several times in the subsequent chapters. This is the preview. So by adopting any of these attitudes, we have to become free from karma and karma phala. Then that is the way to liberation, freedom from the cycle of birth and death. Okay, that is Shloka number 9. Now the topic of yajna comes in a series of shlokas, beginning with Shloka 10 to another 7 shlokas, 10 to 16. The theory of yajna is described. Again, in the 4th chapter, this will come. In the 3rd chapter, Sri Krishna is going to say that in the whole cosmos, in the whole world, yajna is happening every moment. How is it happening? That is being described in the shloka number 10 onwards. And we are also a part of the universe, our body, mind, our personality. So we have a part to play. we also have to do yajna. What is our role is explained in this next few slokas. So let us start the study of the topic of yajna, very important topic, and comes in the 4th chapter also. So sloka number 10. Saha yajna praja srishtva purovacha prajapatihi anena prasavishyadvam eshavostvishtakāmadhuk. Saha yajna, along with yajna. Saha means with. Praja srishtva, creating beings. Praja means all beings, not only people, animals and plants and other beings. Srishtva, creating. At the beginning of creation, the Lord created all the beings. Along with them, he created yajna also. Saha yajna, along with yajna, he created all the beings. Whenever he created this universe, at the same time he created the concept of yajna also. Incorporate yajna into the universe. We'll see how it is done. Purovacha prajapatihi. The Prajapati means the Lord of the beings, the creator. Then he said, Vacha means he said, he created people, animals, plants, and things along with yajna. And then he told people, Vacha means he said to people, Anena prasavishyadvam eshavostvishtakāmadhuk. Anena means yajnana. By doing yajna, he said to people, Anena prasavishyadvam, you prosper. People should perform yajna and achieve prosperity. Prasavishyadvam. Esha means this yajna that you do. Vaha means your ishtakāmadhuk. It will become like a kamadhenu. It will give you whatever you want. That means if you perform yajna, he told people, he created yajna when he created people and other beings. And he told people, Uvacha, what did he instruct people? I have created yajna along with this creation. All of you perform yajna. And if you perform yajna, then what happens? It will give you whatever you want. It will become like Kamadhenu. Kamadhenu is the celestial cow that gives whatever we wish. Wish fulfilling cow, Kamadhenu. That means if you perform yajna, all our desires, all our needs will be fulfilled. Whatever we need will be fulfilled if you perform yajna. How this is going to be done? What is the role of yajna in our lives? That will be explained in the next few verses. So, in the sloka number 10, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, when the Creator created this universe and brought forth all the beings in the universe, at the same time, he created yajna also. And he told the beings, especially human beings, all of you perform yajna, and if you perform yajna, it will yield whatever you need. That is the importance of yajna. If you want anything for our life, all our needs will be fulfilled if you do all our work as yajna. More details will come. Now we go to sloka number 11. Devan bhavayatanena te deva bhavayantu vaha parasparam bhavayantah shreyah paramavapsyatha. Devan bhavayatanena te deva bhavayantu vaha parasparam bhavayantah shreyah paramavapsyatha. He gave the instruction. Bhagavan gives instruction to people. Anena, by this yajna, Evan bhavayata. You worship gods. You worship God by doing yajna. How to do yajna will come later. Two kinds of yajna are there. In the Vedic times, people were performing elaborate Vedic yajnas. These yajnas were very elaborate rituals, chanting Vedic mantras, setting up a fire and offering various things, chanting mantras. Sometimes this yajna will go on for several days and propitiating all the gods, Indra, Agni, Varuna, Yama, Parjanya, all the gods, Surya, and the moon, everything, everybody, by propitiating them by making offerings to them in the yajna. And in return, gods will shower their blessings upon the people. That was the arrangement. You worship gods by doing yajna, they will give you whatever you need for life. Devan anena bhavayata. Anena means yajna. By performing yajna, you worship the gods. Instruction. Te deva, those gods whom you worship, vaha bhavayantu. They will shower their blessings on you. It's a give and take relationship. Everything is in this world is give and take. We worship God and God will give us what we need. That is this instruction. Parasparam bhavayantaha. By propitiating each other, you worship God, God will give you blessings. Parasparam bhavayantaha. Param Shraim avapsyatha. You achieve the supreme good. Param means supreme, Shreya means a good. Supreme Shreyas is liberation. Avapsyata, you achieve the supreme good by performing yajna and propitiate the gods. In return, gods will shower their blessings on you. So this mutual give and take relationship was established at the time of creation. It's not a new thing. Worshipping God, seeking their blessings, and God's providing what we need for our life. That will come in the 9th chapter also. That arrangement was made as a part of creation. It's not something new. So there is always this concept of give and take. You give something, you receive something in return. That is the concept of yajna. This has a much wider implication than simply worshipping God. Nowadays, Vedic yajnas are not done like they were being done before. Difficult to do elaborate Vedic rituals. So what is the alternative? By doing all our work as yajna. Vedic yajna means a certain type of yajna, ritualistic yajna. But the broader concept of yajna means everything that we do must be done as yajna, including eating, talking, walking, speaking. Everything is yajna. That will come later. How to do everything as yajna will come later. So that way you are always performing. You can always perform yajna. Vedic yajna you can perform only at some time, because we elaborate ritual, lot of materials have to be gathered. Somebody should know the mantra, Vedic mantra, chanting properly, procedure. That is difficult. But doing everything as yajna is easy. That you already saw how to give up attachment to karma. That way, we can perform yajna all the time, especially eating. I'm mentioning that because Sri Krishna mentioned that do eating as yajna. In 2 places in the Gita, Sri Krishna says, when you eat something, which we do many times a day, everybody eats, do it as yajna. You know where he says that one? Chapter 4, Shloka 24. All of you know that Shloka. Because when you take meals, you chant the Shloka. What is the Shloka? Brahmarpanam Brahma Havihi Brahmagnau Brahmanahutam Brahmaivate Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. That Shloka, we'll study that in detail later. There Sri Krishna says, when you eat something, do it as yajna. How eating can be yajna? Eating is yajna because when you take some food into the mouth and put it into the mouth, what happens to the food? It goes to the stomach, There what happens to the food? it is digested. Who does the digestion? We think we are digesting the food. No. Bhagavan Sri Krishna clearly says in chapter 15, verse number 14, that he is the one who digests the food that we eat. It's very clear. It's a very fantastic idea. We don't think like that when we just eat something and enjoy the taste and say how nice it was. No, we are offering to God. There in the 15th chapter, Sri Krishna says, I am present in the bodies of all the beings as Vaishwanara, digesting the food the people eat, animals eat. Even in plants also. In plants, supposing there is it's a mango tree. Mango tree can be cultivated in a mango orchard grove, or it can be growing wildly. In India, wild mango trees are there. So how do those trees produce such nice, tasty mango fruits? What is the input? Rainwater. Nobody waters the trees in the wilderness. Rainwater and nutrition from the soil, sunlight, air, etc. They take this input. The plant takes this input. What does it do? Some power in the plant, mango tree, some power converts this input, rainwater and nutrition from soil, etc., converts that into nice, nutritious, tasty mango fruit. What is the power in the mango tree that enables the ordinary input to convert it into nice mango fruit? Some power is there in the mango tree. Same thing in the animal kingdom. Supposing there is a cow. What does the cow eat? Whatever people feed. The grass, it eats in the field, and sometimes vegetable peelings, leftover food, or sometimes the water in which rice has been washed for cooking. Those things are fed into the cow. Taking those things as input, the cow produces nice, nutritious milk. So there is some power in the body of the cow that takes all these ordinary input materials, converts it into nutritious milk. What is the power? God's power, Vaishwanara. Sri Krishna clearly says, when beings, people, other beings, eat food, I am the one who digests the food. So eating means offering the food to the Lord, already present in the body. That's yajna ahuti. Eating is yajna. That is why eating has been done as worship, as yajna. There is a proper way to eat. We should wash our hands and feet and purify the place where we eat, clean food at the right time, right quantity, right kind of food, eating, praying to God before eating, praying during eating. That is to be yajna. Simply irresponsible eating somewhere, standing somewhere, talking something, watching TV, and so all kinds of thoughts and eating something, improper way to eat food. Yajna should not be done that way. Worship should not be done that way. Properly, nicely, a pure attitude, with prayerful attitude, we should eat. So all that is yajna. That will come later in detail. So here it says in sloka number 11, coming back to sloka number 11, perform yajna, and if you do yajna, God will reward you with all the things we need for our life. Therefore, both of you nourish each other. Parasparam bhavayantaha Shreya paramamapsyata, param saimamapsyata. You will achieve the supreme good if you do this way. The way to achieve supreme good, liberation, is to perform all actions as yajna. In nature, yajna is going on round the clock. You don't notice it. See, I give a simple example. This whole ecological system is one system. Earth, all the beings on the earth, animals, plants, and people, atmosphere, air, water, all these things, plants, they're all one system. We all nourish and mutually support each other. Plants are always giving, always they're giving, round the clock they're giving. What are they giving? Most essential thing for human life, oxygen. We don't recognize that. In thoughtlessly, people destroy trees and not the right thing to do. Trees, plants are the most essential thing that support human life on this planet. They take the carbon dioxide that we exhale They provide oxygen that we inhale, supporting life. Without trees, can we live? Human life, animal life is not possible on this planet except by the cooperation, mutual cooperation between trees and people. We have to nourish the trees. Plant trees, nourish them, not kill them. Then they will give us. See, yajna, that is, I'm giving something, I'm receiving something. That balance is there. We should not disturb that balance by thoughtless action. That is happening. That's why there is so much this climate change, global warming, ozone layer depletion, because people thoughtlessly use too much energy, carbon dioxide emission, and too much energy consumption, needlessly killing trees. By disturbing nature, all these natural calamities will happen. Forest fires and not enough rain or too much rain, floods and hurricanes. All these natural calamities happen because there is imbalance in nature, in our activities. We all are connected, interconnected. People, animals, plants, things, and nature, earth, air, water, river, everything. They're all far more intimately, deeply interconnected and interdependent than we care to realize. We don't realize. We thoughtlessly perform action selfishly and disturb nature. That's why these calamities are happening. That is incorporated in the creation itself. That's what Sri Krishna said in 10 and 11. At the time of creation, when you brought forth all the people, animals, plants, things into creation, into existence, at the same time, he created the concept of yajna and gave instruction to people, as in sloka number 11, you perform yajna, all your actions as yajna, as sacrifice offering, and in return, nature or God will nourish you and provide you whatever you need for your life, sustaining life. That interrelationship is already there. We are talking about environmental protection now, but this has been there in the earliest time, the time of creation. Nobody invented them. It was there from the time of creation. So it's a profound idea in these two slokas, sloka 10 and 11. Now we move on to sloka number 11. In this section, sloka number 14 is a key sloka. We'll come to that. Let us do sloka number 12 now. Ishtan bhogan hivo deva दास्यन्ते यज्ञभाविताः तैर्दत्तानप्रदायैभ्यो यो भुङ्क्ते स्तेन एव सः इष्टान् भोगान् हि वो देवा दास्यन्ते यज्ञभाविताः तैर्दत्तानप्रदायैभ्यो यो भुङ्क्ते स्तेन एव सः. The devas, nourished by sacrifices, will give you the enjoyments, facilities you seek. A person who enjoys all the benefit that he receives from nature, from God, in a selfish way, not returning anything, giving anything in return, he is being verily a thief. Stena means a thief. The word stena means a thief. If you always receive something and don't give anything in return, then what are we called? Such a person called a thief. In very clear terms, Sri Krishna says, in return for everything you are receiving from nature, you have to do protect nature. You have to do sacrifice. Nature means other beings also. See, our life, not a single thing can happen. I'll tell you, not the smallest thing can happen except by the cooperation of thousands of other people. Literally thousands of other people are working hard this very moment, unknown people, some other countries also are working hard for us to be able to hear and do this class. Without their cooperation, we could not even do this class. Every morsel of food we take is made possible by the labor of so many people, maybe in some other countries. Somewhere, some farmer is working hard every day, grows the food, that we eat, and that food is processed, transported, made available in supermarket, and we go and buy and cook and we eat. If this is not possible unless the farmer is working there, unless the transportation people are doing their job, unless the marketing people are doing their job, they are all contributing to everything that we do. And every action that we do, everything that is possible in our life is possible only because of the hard work and labor of thousands of people, animals and plants too. They are playing their part. It's all interconnected, one system. And nobody can say I'm an independent man, self-made man. People are fond of saying, I just a self-made man, nobody helped me, I just built my life. Such a thing is not possible. Even if for us to make money so that we can buy things, food and other things that we need, how many people will have helped us to make us make money, help us to make money? The people who educated us, starting from preschool teacher, primary school teacher, and other teachers, those people helped us to get education. The employer gave us opportunity to extend your education, our skill for money. And with money, we buy things. So how many people are involved in every action in our life? Nothing can be done without the simultaneous coexistence, cooperation of animals and plants and people everywhere. This close interconnection has to be appreciated, understood, and what is our duty? We have to play our part. Whatever is our part in life, we have to play that part very well, and other people will play their part very well. That's how life proceeds. We can continue to exist and be happy. Our duty is to do our part, whatever our part has been given to us by God. That part you have to play as offering, acknowledging the help we receive from numerous other sources, animals, plants, and people. That is the concept of yajna. If you don't do that one, if only receive everything, all the benefits from animals, plants, people, and enjoy and don't do anything in return, there were big thieves. That's what Krishna says, very strong words he is using in the second line of shloka number 12. Tayardattan apradaya, ebhyo apradaya. Enjoying the gift given by nature. Other people working hard to make everything possible in our life. Supposing I want to go from Vedanta Center to the store to buy something. Just traveling a few miles from Vedanta Center to the store, to make the travel possible, how many people will have worked very hard? You can imagine. All the people who maintain the roads. I've seen in the middle of winter when it is snowing, during daytime traffic is there, road workers do not work. They work at night in snow. When it's snowing, very, very cold, middle of winter, they work at night to prepare the roads so that by morning roads are ready for people to drive. All the people who work in the road, so many people working in the stores and everywhere. Electricity people maintaining the utility companies, water supply people, gas supply people, they're all working hard to make every small thing possible in our life. This is mutual interdependence, interconnection of whole nature, all one system. You can't say I'm the separate person, I will live by myself. That won't be possible. That's what he's saying here. Tairdattan apradaya ebhyo. By enjoying the gift given by nature, other people, animals and plants, enjoying them without giving them something in return, yo bhungte, he who enjoys, who eats, sahastena eva, such a person is a thief. So what is the instruction? We all should do our part, our work as offering, as yajna, not with a selfish motive. I've received so much from other people, animals and plants. What am I doing in return? Let me do this thing nicely with love. Let me lovingly do my duties, offering everything to a higher cause, to society, to God. And that way I'm fulfilling my part. That is the gist of concept of yajna. That comes in greater detail in this and next chapter. Tairdattana pradayebhyo yo bhante stena eva saha. The next 13 verse is continuation of the same topic, the same question. Yajnashishtashinas santo muchyante sarvakilbishaihi bhunjate te tvagam papa ye pachantyatmakaranat yajñashishtashanas santo muchyante sarvakilbhishaihi bhunjate te tvagam papa ye pachantyatmakaranat. Yajñashishta, shesha means remainder, whatever remains after performing yajna offering. Yajñashishtasanaha, those who partake of what is left after offering. Let's see how to do that one. Sarvakalbhishahi muchante. Santa means good people. Sattvic people who always offer something and take the remaining, whatever remains after offering. Such people, they are free, they'll be free from all sins. They will not incur any sin. Te ye atma karanat pachanti. Pachanti means cook food. Atma karanat, for one's own self. If I prepare just enough food for myself, eat it and there it ends. Such a person, ye pachanti atma karanat, te agam ate papa agam bhunjate. When they eat their own sin. That means for committing a sin, we will be committing a sin if we just do selfishly for my own self, take care of myself, and don't worry about anything or anybody else. Leading an extremely selfish life. It is sinful way to lead a life. You are committing sin by doing that. So what is to be done? Share, offer, share. That is yajna. You know, traditionally, even in this country, maybe not that much, but in India, when people eat food, before they take the first morsel, they keep aside one handful of food for the animals and birds and dogs. A little bit of food before they take the first morsel, take it aside, keep it, offer it to the animals and plants or birds, and then the remaining they will take. That is yajna shesha. Eating everything for myself and I've done eating, that is a sinful way to live. Everything has to be shared because other people are sharing everything with us. So many people are working hard this very moment for us to be able to do this class. You can imagine all the people who create this building, maintain electricity, utilities, and the computer system, how many people are employed so that we can do the class on Zoom. You are watching from your home at your convenience. How many people are helping us do this? We don't think about those people. I'm doing the class like that. No. Our thinking has to be enlarged to incorporate the whole universe. I'm not one being. Whole universe is one, and I am that. Whole universe, same God is present in all. That idea of enlarging our thinking is the essence of the concept of yajna. In every action, we have to incorporate, do that one. So now, shloka number 14 is the key shloka. It's already 3 o'clock. Shloka number 14 is has to be studied in 14 and 15. I've studied in great detail. We'll do that next time. That in detail explains how yajna is being done in the whole universe and what is our role in that whole universe, how we can participate in that yajna concept. Each one of us, what is our role in this whole cosmos? That is being discussed in 14 and 15, very important verses. We'll do that next time. We'll stop here and we have some time for questions now.
That from the meals that people take, they give to animals and plants before they start. Even they give to God. I've seen some little bit to God before starting their meal.
I didn't say it again.
So instead of also giving to plants and to animals the food before you start your meal, even some portion they give to God.
Yeah, we can give. Yeah. Offering to God the whole meal and then take it as prasad. In some families, what they do, after cooking is done, before eating, they prepare a plate, putting all the items of food in one plate, take it to the puja room and keep it there. Offer it to God in the puja room. Then they come back and take it as prasad, mix it with our food, eat this prasad. Not that he needs our food, he's not to fulfill, he's not hungry waiting for our food. Right. But the offering, we are expressing our love for God. Giving means expressing love. Suppose you come to the ashrama, Giving
Yes.
means expressing love. Suppose you come to Vedanta Center and I say, Gita ji, will you have a cup of tea? And you may say yes or no. But when I offer a cup of tea, do I offer it to meet you only? Don't you have a cup of tea in your home? You can, any number of cups you can drink. You're not coming here to drink tea. But when I say I offer a cup of tea, I'm expressing my love. I'm expressing a happiness you have come, or chosen to come here. And as an expression of humble love, I'm saying have a cup of tea. Giving means expressing love, not to fulfill God's needs. What does he need?
Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you.
Okay. So let's say the closing prayer now.
Yes,
Okay. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may all be happy, may all be free from diseases, may all realize what is noble and auspicious, may no one be subject to misery. Om, peace, may there be peace and joy in our hearts, may there be peace and harmony amongst all beings, may there be peace everywhere in nature. Hari Om Tat Sat Sarvam Sri Rama Krishna Arpanamastu. Thank you all. And Navaratri today is Navami. Tomorrow is Dashami. Tomorrow we have puja in our center, but we all have to watch from home because of the present situation. It will be live streamed, and pray to God, Divine Mother, during this season. All of you stay well, and thank you very much.
thank you.
Namaskar.